I'd like to welcome you to the second and last day of our seminar on the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami for empowerment. So yesterday we discussed about how to think of Krishna systematically throughout the day. We had some different ideas of how to do that. Did anybody try to do that yesterday? You try to think of Krishna while you were doing your work? Yes, good. Was it helpful? Yes? Would you like to say something, or was that just yes?
I usually live my life like on the autopilot.
Autopilot,
but yesterday when we went on Harinam, then in the beginning, like almost when we started, I oh yeah, that we had this homework. Then I tried to offer prayers to Shishi Gornitai that please let me behave in this Harinam and be in the kind of consciousness that it's pleasing to you.
Oh.
I offered this kind of prayer to them.
Good.
So I also felt the Lord's reciprocation in the way that He made everything very blissful.
Okay, so that's good. You did the first homework and you got the second as well. You tried to remember Krishna before you did something. You pray for empowerment, and then you got the reciprocation. And that was the second homework question. Did anybody try that? Did anybody see how is Krishna reciprocating with you during your day? I was also seeing that too. It was about Harinam. I really wanted to go, but then I wasn't sure, and then my ankle got bad and I couldn't go, so I understood, okay, other service I should do. He just helped me to make that decision. Anybody have that? Try that one yesterday. Or the second part of the question, responding to Krishna when Krishna reciprocates with you. Yes?
Mataji, what I noticed is that the day tends to go without that noticing.
Without noticing. Yes, it will go.
At one point I noticed that, as our Santa Prabhu said, that I should have done, and I have almost the whole day is gone already, and I've not so much done. So it was like from other, you could say, point of view, it was shown that actually your life just goes by and you should concentrate actually.
You're not conscious of what moment to moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Krishna consciousness means that we become conscious of Krishna every moment, or at least every hour, or every morning, or once a day. I mean, we do worship Krishna, we chant and everything, but how much is our mind with us? How much is the mind actually helping us in that way? We can do so many things on automatic pilot. But sometimes, I mean, I was leading, what was I doing? I was leading Mangalarti in Goloka Dham, but then my mind went somewhere else and I forgot the next line. So you have to be really focused on what you're doing. Okay. So I would like to share with you some quotes, one from Bhakti Maharaj about empowerment. He says that when your desire to serve is beyond your capacity, yet you act without hesitation, that is the moment empowerment occurs. So we have this desire to do some service, but it's way beyond what we can do, but still we act without hesitation. So that was what we did when Prabhupada was here. We didn't even think if it was beyond our capacity at all. We didn't even have that thought that I can't do this. It's beyond me, because we thought, no, Prabhupada is there, Krishna is there, and they will help if we just try. We try, and the results are up to Krishna and up to Prabhupada. We just try our best. Shamasunder said, Prabhupada said, if you stick your neck out for Krishna, Krishna promises he has to come and save you. He said, so we tested that. And he said we went to England to meet the Beatles and make them Krishna conscious, and we did it. I was reading the book who wrote that? Mukunda Goswami, he wrote a book. And right from, even before they thought to go to London, Shamasunder was thinking, we have to make the Beatles Krishna conscious. This is what we have to do. Even before there was any talk, he always thought very big. Prabhupada said, shoot the rhinoceros. And if you miss, then people will say, well, it was impossible anyway, but if you do it, then people will really glorify you. And he said, one time they didn't have rent for the temple in San Francisco, and the landlord was about to throw them out of their apartment, and they prayed to Krishna, and then Malati walked out the door, and she saw $100 bills floating down the street of San Francisco. So that's quite a rare occurrence. You would see $100 bills. Somebody would take them, but that's what she saw, and it was enough for the rent. And when they asked George Harrison he never wanted to ask George anything, but Prabhupada said, ask him to finance Krishna book. And so Shamasunder, he asked him, and then as soon as he asked him, then he saw the look on George's face. Oh, you're just like all the rest, you just want money. But then the lights went out, lightning struck the house, and then the lights went back on, and George said, well, you can't argue with that. So Krishna, he always intervenes in our lives if we depend on him. And he said, time and time again, we got to see Krishna's hand coming down in to save us. He said, but this mood is dying down in our movement, and it needs to be revived. So we're so happy to see you young people taking it up and doing the impossible for Krishna. I don't know who he was talking to. He said, may all your dreams come true. So I would say here you're trying to do that by getting this temple. It's quite a miracle as far as I can see. It's such a beautiful... I was there when you were in your old one, in this small apartment, and you had a restaurant, a school, brahmachari ashram, temple, all in one little apartment, and now you took the risk and you got this really nice place. So this is wonderful. And this is the mood of Srila Prabhupada. So in verse 18 again, it's going to be a very encouraging verse for all devotees who are not born in Brahmin families. This verse is very good for us. And even those who are born in Brahmin families who didn't do Govardhan Sanskara, it means you're still born as Shudra, Kala Shudra Sampava. So here we go, verse 18. Kira Tahoranda Pulinda Pukasha, Kira Tahorandra Pulinda Pukasha, Abhir Shumba Ravana Kasana, Abhir Shumba Ravana Kasana. Yeyecha papaya pashaya shaya, Yeyecha papaya pashaya shaya, Shadyanti tasmai prabha vishnave namaha, Shadyanti tasmai prabha vishnave namaha. Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pukasha, Abhira, Shumba, Yavana, members of the Kasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances to him. So right in the beginning of Bhagavatam, we have this clarification of who can become a Vaishnava. It's open to everyone. I don't think the Finnish people are in this list of Kirata Huna. No, you're not one of these. So then others. Then we have the category of others, in case you're not included here. And so we all belong, most of us belong to the category of others, addicted to sinful acts. But don't worry, if we take shelter of the devotees, we can also transcend. Everyone can do it. Even Sutta Goswami said, you know, I'm born in a mixed family, but just by serving and following the great devotees, he's speaking Bhagavatam, also Sutta Goswami. So there's no bar, Prabhupada said, to becoming a devotee. Even, and he quotes Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even for those low-born women, Shudras, Vaishyas, and that includes everyone in Kali Yuga, pretty much. There's no Kshatriyas or Brahmanas born in Kali Yuga, everyone's born in Shudra. But if you actually take shelter of a pure devotee and you do sanskaras, you can get purified, and you can become a Brahman and even more than a Brahman. So the qualification is we have to take shelter of a pure devotee who has knowledge, the science of Krishna. And Prabhupada says Gita and Bhagavatam. These are the two books. If somebody has complete knowledge of these two books, then he can be a guru. So Prabhupada said anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and spiritual master for the general mass of people and can reclaim them by purification of heart. So this is Prabhupada's miracle, that each one of us is an example of Prabhupada's miracle. We wouldn't be here today unless Srila Prabhupada had taken that risk and gone to the West, had 2 heart attacks and didn't give up. We think we got problems. Just imagine an elderly gentleman, Srila Prabhupada, age of 70. I know I'm traveling now, I'm almost 70, and it's very difficult to go by plane, and he went by boat with 2 heart attacks. I mean, one would be enough to make me change my mind, but he had 2 heart attacks, and just to save us. He didn't know who we were, but he came to save us. And his prayer when he first came to America, he said that, Krishna, if you desire, if you like, you can save these people. So first he left it up to Krishna. But then, after that, the next prayer he said to Krishna, it's my desire that they be delivered. Now, if a devotee desires something, it must happen. Because Prabhupada said, it's my desire, Krishna had to fulfill his desire. So many times, like in San Francisco, the first Rath Yatra, it was on a flatbed truck. And Jagannath was on this back of a truck, but they decorated it nicely and put flowers and cooked prasadam. And after the end of the Rath Yatra and everything was finished, there were a lot of hippies that were really high on drugs. They had helped a bit with the Rath Yatra. Devotees were there. And Prabhupada looked around at everyone, the half-drunk hippies and the devotees, and he said, every single person who helped with this Rath Yatra will go back to Godhead in this life. The devotees were thinking, how is this possible? These people, no, they're completely out of it. Well, Krishna will have to somehow make it come true. And so, as Prabhupada said, he was so pleased with the people who helped with the Rath Yatra. And that's by the grace of the pure devotee. Now, I was remembering how His Holiness Jagapataka Maharaj came to Krishna consciousness. He was in San Francisco, and Jayananda was building the Rath cart. And Jayananda said to him, he was just walking by on the street, he said, oh, could you please come here a minute and help me? I need to hammer a nail in this cart here. And he said, oh, sure, I'll help you. And so then, so he said, could you just please hold this nail for me? And he said, okay, yeah. And so then Jayananda, hammered the nail. He said, wow, that was the best way to hold the nail I've ever seen. Maybe you could also hammer the nail too. And then he hammered it, and he said, oh, you're an expert. And he got him to, work the whole day. And he became a devotee. So that's the benefit of associating with a pure devotee. And Jayananda, I was just somehow remembering him, that there was one lady who was very against the devotees. She was a member of the government, and they would always have to go to the government for permission. So with this lady, Jayananda would bake a cake and bring it to her on her birthday. And so, of course, she would give permission whenever he wanted it, the Rath Yatra. And then one time, when he left his body, then another devotee went in his place. And she said, "Where's Johnny Ananda?" And they said, "Oh, he died." And she started crying. She was so touched by his association. And so we should also become like that. We should become like touchstones. And when we associate with people, then they become changed. They change their life change. So, actually in the present moment, when we first came to India, there was a lot of opposition from the caste of Swamis. And they were criticizing Srila Prabhupada. You cannot give Brahman initiation to lechas who are from the West, or sannyas, or anything like that. And one time we were in Vrindavan, the first devotees, so there were some who were very nice to us also. There was one Goswami in one temple, and the Goswami said, "Oh, he told us, you're doing such a nice puja. Next life, you will be born in one of our families, Goswami family." And so they told Prabhupada said, "Oh, we should tell them, my dear sir, you're doing such a nice puja. Next life you'll be born in our ISKCON family." So Prabhupada, he saw that he did not discriminate between birth, between anyone. He gave us all the equal chance to make progress in spiritual life. And this is the movement of Lord Chaitanya. And there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says that if someone gets the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, a meat-eater, a blind, lame, you can be a guru and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So even when Lord Chaitanya was here, he got criticism from the Hindus, the caste Brahmanas, because he said, they complained to the Muslims who were in the government, and they said, these people, they're ruining our Hindu religion. And he's giving this mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, to low-class people, and if they chant the mantra will become contaminated. That was their argument. And so Srila Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya, he's the one who started this revolution 500 years ago, and he started civil disobedience with his Harinam. And we are also following in his footsteps. No impediment to doing service. We just have to have that strong desire, and nobody can stop you. Asha Bandha, Rupa Goswami says, I'm not qualified, I'm not born in a good family, I'm not attracted to the regulative principles, but somehow I have this desire to do service and approach your feet. And this hope is giving me pain, because I don't think I'm qualified to do this. And so Prabhupada said, Asha Bandha, we should hope against hope. Some way or other we will approach the lotus feet of Krishna going in time. So now the next verse, there is going to give a qualification of who can approach the Lord, who can realize the Lord. Now we heard there's no qualification material, but there is some qualification here which we need to take note of. And it's mentioned in the next verse. I should read this one. Verse 19. Sa esha atmat mavatam madishvaras mavatam madishvaras chaimayo dharma mayas tapomaya Gatav Yalikara Jashankararipir Vitakyalingo Bhagavan Prasiratam. He is the super soul and the supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva, and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that Supreme Absolute be pleased with me. The Sanskrit word is Gata Vyalika. if anybody can look at the verse, you will see who can realize the Lord, who worships the Lord. It's there in the verse. What is the qualification? Yes?
Being freed of all pretensions.
Being freed of all pretension. Very, very good. So, my question is, what is pretension? What does it mean to have pretension? You can tell me. Yes?
Duplicity.
Duplicity. Good. Any other ways to express what is the meaning of pretension? Because we do, this is not your first language, yes?
It's presenting yourself as someone you are not.
Presenting yourself as someone you are not.
Pretense.
Yes? Pretense.
Or pretending.
Pretending, very good. Pretension means pretending. Did you have something?
I wanted to
Say anything. Yeah, it means to pretend. It's very simple. And you know what? Everybody in this world is pretending. Because everyone thinks they're the body. And it's not you. So you're pretending to be something you're not. If you think you're American or Finnish, and you're pretending. It's not who you are. You're actually a servant of Krishna. But pretension also has these other meanings. Duplicity means that you think one thing, you say another thing, and you do a third thing. It's not together. You think about, a different thing in your mind. Well, actually, this is my plan. You say something else to make people not understand your plan, and then you do even a different thing. So to be without pretension means that your desire, your thoughts, you say what you think, and you do what you say, basically. You say what you think. You actually are open with everyone. That is the qualification of a Brahmin. Prabhupada used to say that if a thief comes and it says to a Brahmin, I want to steal your valuables, and the Brahmin will say, okay, here, take, it's right here. He won't hide anything. So this is lack of pretending. Now it's a very interesting, and Srila Prabhupada in the purport says there are 3 types of pretensions, 3 types of pretending. And these are for people on the path of self-realization. There's 3 kinds of pretenders. And we hear about this all the time. So let's hear, who are these 3 classes? The karmis are pretending. The bhukti, they want to enjoy. The jnanis, the intellectuals, are pretending because they want to have merging or liberation. And the yogis are pretending because they want siddhi. They want to enjoy this world. They want to control the world. 3 pretensions: bhukti, mukti, siddhi. And that is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, shakale ashanta. Krishna bhakta nishkam eva shanta. And so the Krishna devotees are nishkam. They don't have these 3 desires. They're qualified. And in the purport, at the end, Srila Prabhupada explains 3 symptoms of a devotee who has no pretension. So the first symptom is his desire. He desires everything for the pleasure of the Lord. That's his desire. His desire, I want to please you. Second, he's completely dependent on the orders of the Lord. So his desire is to please the Lord, and in order for his work, he's dependent on the Lord's orders. He follows. So then the third thing is they're always ready to discharge their duty. So that's more on the physical level for the satisfaction of the Lord again. Nectar devotion, there is a verse, Anyavilashita shunyam, Gyanakarmat anavritam, anukulyena krishnam shirana bhakti uttamam. That's surrender means first class devotion, anukulyena. And that means again the desire, the intention to please Krishna. That this is your intention. Intention is very, very important. And that intention will make you a pure devotee or not. If you have the intention to please Krishna, you can be classified among the pure devotees. But it also means jnana karma anavritam. That means it's uncovered by jnana and karma. And this, what does this mean in our words? Faith, you have faith that the goal is bhakti, because the karmis and gyanis, they have a different goal. So our goal is bhakti, and the process is bhakti also. It's not like we're going to do jnana to get bhakti or karma to get bhakti. It's not, bhakti is not dependent on these things. The process is also bhakti, the goal is bhakti. So that's what it means to be without pretension, beginning of Bhagavatam, Nirmat Saranam Satam. Who can understand Bhagavatam? Those who are pure in heart. And the Paramahamsas.
What was, you said there are 3 symptoms of a devotee who is free from
Right.
pretension. So what was the second one?
The second one is you're dependent on the orders of the Lord. So I've got 3 words: desire, dependent, and discharge. You're doing 3 Ds. And then these are given by Srila Prabhupada, symptoms of someone who is without pretension. And if we just, actually it's very simple, Prabhupada makes it very simple, that Vyasadeva, he kicked out these things right in the 2nd verse of Bhagavatam, this Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These things are kicked out from Bhagavatam. It is for the pure-hearted devotees, because what is the purpose of Bhagavatam? To distinguish the truth from illusion. Now, if you don't want to know the truth, that means you have pretension. You'll never know what's the truth. You'll go for the illusion. The illusion will be your favorite thing. Yes, this is my happiness. So, Prabhupada says at the end, he's realized by pretensionless devotees only. Therefore, special stress is given to devotional service of the Lord by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Now the next verse, 20, we hear more about the mentality of a devotee who is free of pretension. And there's going to be a word that's repeated here, pati, how the Lord is he is the Lord of everything. He's the husband, the Lord, the director, the leader, the controller, and proprietor. So, addressing Krishna in this way, then we beg for his mercy. And the last word in the verse, there's a mistake. Instead of O, it should be H. Pati. Pati should be H.
It's not patio.
No, it's not patio. There's a typing error there, or something. I copied it, but somebody made a typing error. It should be Pati. Okay, so we'll sing verse 20. Shriya Pati Yakya Pati Prajapati. Shriya Pati Yakya Pati Prajapati. Tiyam Pati Loka Pati Tarapati. Tiyam Pati Loka Pati Tarapati. Patir Gadishchandaka Vishni Sattvatam.
Patir Gadishchandaka Vishni Sattvatam.
Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Pati. Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Pati. May Lord Krishna, who is the worshipful Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andaka and Vishnu of the Yoga dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. So Sukadeva is glorifying Krishna. He's showing how he can empower someone, because he's the Lord of all opulences. If you need some opulence, he'll give it to you. And there's different opulences mentioned here. First of all, Shriya Patir. Who knows what Shriya Patir means? Shri, yes?
The husband of the goddess of fortune.
Husband of goddess of fortune, Shri. Another name of Lakshmi is Shri. Shri means Lakshmi. So Shriya Pati, Lord of Lakshmi. He's the Lord of our Lakshmi. And one thing you may not be aware of is that in the 6th canto, there is one prayer to Lakshmi and Narayani. And it is said that in everyone's heart there is Narayan, and our senses are an expansion of Lakshmi. They're an expansion of her. So, and what is Lakshmi meant for? For satisfying Narayan. So our senses, they're her expansion. They're meant for satisfying Narayan in our heart, Krishna in our heart. So there's a connection here between us and Lakshmi. Not for our enjoyment. Everyone thinks, no, Lakshmi is for me, especially our own senses at least. But no, it is for Krishna. So how is he Lord of Lakshmi? Prabhupada said when he came here, he showed the activities of his pleasure potency and his rasa lila just to attract the conditioned souls. So that's how he's the Lord of Lakshmi. Then the next one is Yagya Pati. What does that mean? Yagya Pati. Lord of sacrifice. Very good. And what is the best sacrifice? Sankirtan Yagya. So Prabhupada said he's the Lord of Sankirtan Yagya. And if you do Sankirtan, he gives you 3 things that will happen if you do this Hari Nam. 3 things you can expect. Number 1, you'll never have difficulty keeping your body and soul together. Means Lakshmi will come. Number 1. Number 2, you'll get purified. And number 3, you'll get natural promotion into spiritual existence and you'll find out your real identity. If you just do Harinam Yagya, you will get your spiritual identity, you'll get purified, and you will get your maintenance.
Where are you getting that from?
Purport of verse 20.
From the action this
Yeah.
verse? Oh.
Yeah, this verse. This is verse 20. Srila Prabhupada has a paragraph for each of these different types of pati, or leader, or lord. So in his paragraph, so I'm just like summarizing the purport. So when he talks about Yagapati, he says there's 3 things. I mean, I put the 1, 2, 3, but it's really nice to see how Prabhupada is giving us. So you do Sankirtan and these things will happen. You will get Lakshmi. Yeah, I guess you're into fundraising, so this is good for you to know. Do Harinam Sankirtan, and you won't have problems. And purify your existence, and you'll get promotion. And Krishna is our leader, Prajapati. Oh, I told you what it is. Forgot to ask. I'll let it out. Okay, no problem. Prajapati, our leader. So how is he our leader? He's the maintainer, Prabhupada says. Because we're maintained by him, therefore he's our leader. Whoever maintains you, he's your leader. Now, Dhyam Patir. What does Dhyam Patir mean? Who knows what is Dhya? Yes? Intelligence, very good. He's Lord of our intelligence. Because he's the super soul is described in the 2nd canto that it is the form intelligence of the living being. Super souls are the form of our intelligence, and he is our intelligence. So, Dhyapati, now in the purport, Prabhupada gives a very interesting sentence. One is highly intelligent by the grace of the Lord, and one is a fool by the same control. When I was in Ireland a few weeks ago, the people in Ireland were having a 3-day celebration called the Festival of Fools. And everybody got to make a fool of himself. They would dress wildly and just do crazy things. And that was the festival. And I said, well, they should call every day the Festival of Fools over here, because, yeah.
Yesterday, there was a little discussion about intuition.
Oh.
Often this kind of New Age people
are
very much into intuition. So
they're into it, yeah.
So is it so that because sometimes the materialistic people, they say like they felt that they needed to do something and it was right. So is it so that the Lord is giving them some direction from within?
It is a fact that they call it conscience, that there is a conscience, and there is the Lord who is trying to direct you in the right direction. That's a fact. But if you're too material, the more materialistic you are, you won't hear that voice. If you're in goodness, if you have a touch of goodness, you may be able to hear that conscience more, because you're more purified. But in the lower modes, they won't understand what is the voice of the Lord, or the voice. Yes, they will misunderstand it, and they will. Especially crazy people will say, God told me to do it, and then they do crazy things. So that is why, even for devotees, we need to have the checks and balances of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Now, yeah, if it's just a simple thing like making a decision, that's okay. It can be conscious or doing the right thing, doing the right thing. But sometimes, like fanatic religious people will say, I don't need a guru because God is talking to me. And they'll go kill someone, So it's, you have to be very careful. And Prabhupada, he was upset when he heard one devotee asked him, there's, even in the 1970s it was there, that there is a popular belief now that you can talk to the Lord directly and he will talk to you and there is no need of a guru. And Prabhupada said, how are you so foolish that you believe this? Who does God talk with? And then he quoted Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam pachitam priti purvakam. Not the third class fool. He talks to someone who is always engaged, priti purvakam, in loving devotional service. Then he will talk. So there comes a point when you are completely guided by the super soul, like Srila Prabhupada. And, when reporter asked him, so, who decides who is the temple president, how to manage things? Prabhupada said, yes, I decide that. He said, so, how do you know? He says, yes, Krishna tells me who I should put here, what I should do. And so then one devotee spoke up and he said, yes, this means the intelligence coming from the heart. Prabhupada said, no, Krishna. Krishna tells me. So for Prabhupada can say that. He was always engaged, priti purvakam. But not the people on the street who can't control their senses. But it is a fact that there is, the super soul is trying to help these people to do the right thing. And the more you are pious and in the mode of goodness, then the more you can access that help. And the genuine spiritual people, they are very appreciative of the devotees, and they like the devotees. Those who are without pretension, they will appreciate. It doesn't matter if they're Hindu, Muslim, Christian. They will appreciate. Yeah, so I don't know what sort of, it's New Age or is it, anyway, whatever. That was Prabhupada's take on it. It was happening when he was here too. But people were saying, yes, I would just contact, he's telling me what to do. It's a lot of intelligence, yes. Devotees have to be very careful because there's a war between Maya and Krishna in our hearts, so we have to make sure we get the right voice to listen to. And then you consult Guru, Sadhu, Shastra to make sure. So then next, Lokapati means Krishna is the owner of everything. And Dharapati, Lord of the earth. Lord of the earth is very interesting. How he is Lord of the earth, Prabhupada gives the example that Krishna, when he came, he married 16,108 wives at once. He said the conditioned soul is proud of becoming husband of even one wife, but the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Actually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in his creation. But a conditioned soul, under the control of the Lord, feels proud to be husband of one or two wives. So maybe I told this story last year, but there's a true story happened a few years ago in Poland with one Christian nun who he went to court and challenged the devotees that Krishna is immoral because he married 16,000 wives, so he's an immoral god. He's not God, but he's immoral. How can he be God? So then the devotee was intelligent, and the devotee said to the nun, what were your vows when you became a nun? And she wouldn't say. So then somebody read out the vows. I vow to marry Christ. Then he asked, how many nuns are there in the world who married Christ? Millions. He outdid Krishna. So this is happening. Nobody can defeat Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is showing his opulence is just to attract us to come to him. And verse 21, he comes here, people see, but still you cannot know him unless you humbly surrender. verse 21. In this purport, we will find out tips of how to think of Krishna, how to remember Krishna, how we should remember Krishna. But let us read the verse first. Yad ankhya vidyana samadhita taya. Yad ankhya vidyana samadhita taya. Dhyana pashanti tattvam atmana. Dhyana pashanti tattvam atmana. Varanti chatat kavayo yatharusham. Varanti chatat kavayo yatharusham. Same mukunda bhagavan prasidatam. Same mukunda bhagavan prasidatam. It is the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. So Prabhupada in the purport talks about samadhi, smaranam, how we should remember Krishna. So, first he says, number one, the devotee, simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, comes into trance. He goes into samadhi. That's number one. So next, how does the devotee think? He thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death. So this mentality is very similar to a prayer of Lord Chaitanya. See if you recognize it. Shikshastika, if you're familiar with Shikshastika, then you will recognize this. Number three, he incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. So, does that sound familiar to you who know Shikshastika? I Nandatanuja, Kinkaram Pati. I'm your servant, somehow I've fallen in this ocean. That's how we should think. When we think of the Lord, how do we think of him every second? Think, okay, I'm fallen in this ocean of birth and death, and please pick me up, make me a speck of dust at your lotus feet. In the material world, people think that they're on top of things in the material ocean. And again, I will mention my son Govinda, because I do contact him on the internet, and he put on his picture on the internet a hand coming out of the ocean like this, meaning it's okay, everything's all right. Only his hand is showing. The rest of him is drowning inside the ocean, but everything's okay, right? So, I just couldn't, it was so tempting. I put this verse there. I said, okay, pick me up and place me and have him dust at your lotus feet. And he said, yeah, shit, that's what I meant. So, but people in the world, they think, yeah, no, everything's good. I'm on top, I'm on top of things. And it couldn't be better. So, but not. This is the reality check. This is the reality. Devotees, they want to know the truth. The truth is, it's not fun to be in the ocean of material existence. It's not fun to surf the waves in this ocean. And mostly, we're at the bottom. The more possessions we have, the more quickly we sink. We go down. The more we have, the lower we go. Unless, of course, we use everything for Krishna, and that is our process. You can have so many things in this ocean that belong to you, or you think belong to you. You can just use them for Krishna, and everything will be okay. So Prabhupada, in his purport, he quotes about the King Kudashekar, I pray the sweat of my mind may sink to the stems of your lotus feet. So that is, we may be in the ocean, but it's a different ocean. It's a spiritual ocean that we're in, and we might go to the bottom to get to the lotus feet of Krishna. Now, this verse also mentions mental speculators. They cannot go to the stem of Krishna's lotus stem of his feet, because they all have different conclusions. And that is yatharucham, according to your desire. Whatever you like, it's like that. They say, I'm good and you are good. Or, well, I can't remember the other one. Anyway, Prabhupada, I was just reading a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada said, I am good and you're no good. Everybody's a rascal. I'm just listening to tape this morning, and he was translating that verse, Sarvadharma Paritaja, give up all varieties of religion and surrender. And he was saying, you rascal, just stop your nonsense and surrender to Krishna. And so, then here's a really interesting sentence that Prabhupada says, the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. Did you know there's a mental speculator exchange? And it's called New Age philosophy. There's a whole network out there exchanging. Yeah. Actually, it could be Facebook also. What's on your mind? They ask you, what's on your mind? And then people, Jai Gwani Thai. And people, just imagine if you had a loudspeaker attached to your mind, and everyone would hear what's on your mind the whole day. You wouldn't like that, I think. So we don't want to hear all this nonsense that's on people's minds. This is the mental speculator exchange here, right there. It could be like this, it can be like that. And so Krishna is not the shopkeeper trying to please all of these different customers, is what Prabhupada is saying. So how do we see the Lord? How do we get self-realization? Prabhupada emphasizes humility in the purport. A devotee who is 100% engaged in his service, if you're 100% engaged, you will be put into a trance. And you can realize everything. Because to the sincere devotee, the Lord realizes himself. So there is a key here about how to get Krishna to reveal himself to you. And that key is service attitude. If you have the service attitude, then Krishna will reveal himself to you. And it's very interesting, the prayers of Lord Brahma for creative energy in the third canto. Again, the service attitude is mentioned. And Srila Prabhupada said a very interesting thing in that purport. He said that your Swarup Shakti is your service attitude. I thought, wow, that is very profound. Because I live in Vrindavan and everyone wants to know their Swarup. But Prabhupada said it's your service attitude. Swarup means your identity. What is your relationship with Krishna?
Swarup Shakti or Swarup Siddhi?
Swarup Siddhi, sorry. Swarup Siddhi. Yes, it's your Swarup Siddhi. Yeah. Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Shakti. Swarup Siddhi. Yeah. It's your service attitude. So, very, very wonderful sentence. He has these very profound sentences in his purport that you can find. They're like gems. So remember yesterday, the mystery of bhakti is the vision of the pure devotee, how he's seeing the Lord in every atom at the same time in Goloka Vrindavan. So in all these prayers, Sukadeva, at the end he's saying, my Lord, be pleased with me. So he's trying to invoke the pleasure of the Lord by his prayers. Mm-hmm.
Is there some difference of mood in these different verses? Because we see like from 19 to 22, he is using the word prasidatan in the last line. But then like before that, from 14 to 18, he's more like saying Namo Namaha.
Yeah. Well, he starts being very humble. He's in a humble mood. I offer my obeisances to you. And he explains why. You're the Lord, so many things, and you're so merciful. And so you start with humility, he glorifies the devotee. By the mercy of the devotee, then we can get purified and we can approach you. So he approaches through the devotee, and then he's more direct because he has a request. So before you ask your request, you should be humble and offer obeisances and glorify the Lord. And then he puts his, now the request is coming from verse 19, that I be pleased with me. In other words, I need your blessings. I need your blessings. Because whenever you pray, there's always a request. Even in Shikshashtaka, Lord Chaitanya has requests. And starting with number 4, he says, I want your devotional service, life after birth, as a request. And then number 5 is more clear, pick me up, engage me in your service. And then number 6, again, there's when will I get bhava? When will I be crying and hearing your name? So there's always a request. Now, if it's very interesting if you compare the prayers of the pure devotees and the prayers of the demigods. It's quite a difference. The demigods will, they'll be very indirect. They'll say, you saved the Thaya Griva, you saved, and you came as the Shringa, and you came so many times, and we need your help. Can you protect us now? So it's like, they're kind of hinting, but then they come out with it at the end. You are merciful to your devotees, you are the protector, and we are your devotees, and we need protection, and so, but he's just saying, I want to please you. This is a different category here from the demigods. You study their prayers, and trying to pacify Nrsimhadev, they were saying so many prayers, but they couldn't pacify him. Only the pure devotee Prahlad could do it. And his prayers, we could see how he said, I don't want anything. I'm completely satisfied. But he was praying for them. He was praying, see, now these demigods are very upset, and they're meant to protect the universe now. So don't be angry anymore. They're scared. He said, I'm not scared. And he said, you're my friend, It's like, somebody asked me that question, didn't it take Prahlad a lot of courage to go in front of, I said, no, he saw it, it's my father, it's my friend, It didn't require any courage. He was completely fearless. But the demigod, so this is the prayers we can learn. How does a pure devotee pray? What does he request? What is his request here? It did come. It's not like he has no desires. He has desires. Krishna is pleased. That was his request. Be pleased with me. So now, thank you for noticing that. That's really nice. And it goes on, even verse 22. And he gets more specific in 23. What he would like the blessings for. Now he's just praying generally for blessings. So 22, again, blessings. And it's coming to the point. Pracharitayena purasarasati, Pracharitayena purasarasati, Vitam Natajasya satim smritim hiri, Natajasya satim smritim hiri, Salakshana pratarabhut kilasita, Salakshana pratarabhut kilasita, Same Vishinam Vishapa Prasidatam. May the Lord, who in the beginning of creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me. So he's getting more to the point about how Brahma got realized and how he got empowered to speak, how the Lord revealed himself to Brahma in disciplic succession, how he got the knowledge, and Prabhupada talks about the knowledge in the purport that we can have 78% of all the knowledge. Now we're forgetful, and in the beginning the Lord inspired Brahma in the heart with the knowledge of creation. Prabhupada explains that this is inspired from within the heart of every living being, that we all can have this inspiration. And Prabhupada says, it is known as the awakening of knowledge, for it is comparable to awakening from sleep or unconsciousness. This awakening of knowledge is under the full control of the Lord. Therefore we find in the practical world different grades of knowledge in different persons. This awakening of knowledge is neither automatic nor material interaction. Supply source is the Lord himself, the young Pati, for even Brahma is also subject to this regulation of the Supreme Creator. So we're talking about how you realize knowledge in Krishna consciousness is through parampara. You hear it from this descending process. Brahma got it directly from the Lord. In the beginning of Bhagavatam, there are groups of verses that describe the process of Shraddha to Prema. And we did discuss this a few years ago, I think, here, how you go from one to the other. And in the last verse, where enlightenment is described, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport what actually happens. Krishna turns on the lights in your heart. It's the first thing that happens. And then you see there's a knot there, a big knot. And then when you're chanting even more, Krishna unties the knot himself. Prabhupada says this in the purport. Krishna will untie the knot for you. Does anybody know what this knot is? There is a Sanskrit word for it, one word in Sanskrit, 2 words in English. What is the knot?
Ahankara.
Very good. You remember from 2 years ago. Ahankara is the knot, which means false ego. And it ties 2 things together. You have a knot, it means it's tying something together. What is it tying together? The knot in the heart. It's tying the body and the soul together. Our false ego ties our body and soul together. And or it ties together matter and spirit. Shouldn't be together, matter and spirit, but somehow it is in this world. And we suffer. Because we want to be eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, but we die, we get old age, we get disease, and we suffer. We're miserable. Being in the material body is like being in prison. So,
Often Srila Prabhupada emphasizes in his books how we are not the body.
Right.
So,
We are not.
So sometimes people may think that, is that it? And what's the next step after understanding
Yeah, the next step of
the body?
then if it's not our body, whose body is it? That's the next step. Okay, it's not my body, right? I'm not the body. It's not mine. It means the next step is not mine. So, whose is it? Next. Right? Krishna's. Oh, then, if it's his, then I should give it to him. I should use it for him. I should connect it, yoga. I should connect it in yoga with him. Right. I'm not the body. It's not my body. It's not my hand. It's not my brain. It's not my... Then, yes. Whose body is it? It's Krishna's. Great. You can tell them the next question because they may not figure it out. Because there was somebody, and some devotee said, you know, you're not this body. And he said, well, then if I'm not the body, whose body is it? But that's the question, actually. Good question. Yes, not yours. Now this prayer 22. This is actually quoted by Srila Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how this verse refers to super soul, because you're getting knowledge from within. And Ramananda Roy, there's a verse, Ramananda says, the super soul in everyone's heart speaks not externally, but from within. He instructs the devotees in all respects, and that is his way of instruction. So Prabhupada, I don't know how you... Anyway, somehow this is what Prabhupada says in the program, a very interesting observation. Here, Ramananda Roy admits that Lord Chaitanya is the super soul. And he quotes this verse of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says, it is the super soul that inspires a devotee. Therefore, he is the original source of the Gayatri mantra. And then, I guess this verse, let's see, does it mention? Well, it mentions Saraswati. Okay. And so, Savita is the original source of all intelligence, and Savita is Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada said that is confirmed in this verse of Bhagavatam, Pachorita Yena Pura Saraswati. So you can remember that next time you think about Super Soul, it's Lord Chaitanya, who is the Super Soul in your heart. It's not Vishnu for us, Vishnu for everyone else.
Sometimes there is the question of the omniscience of the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Like my meager understanding what I've got about the discussion is that while the spiritual master is present in the body, he is not omniscient. But it's like, is Srila Prabhupada omniscient?
Prabhupada was asked that question. So I can tell you what Prabhupada said. Because the devotees, they were expecting Prabhupada to know everything and all, everything in the world. And Prabhupada said, the pure devotee is not omniscient. But if Krishna wants him to know something, then he will know it. So that means he has the contact with Super Soul. He has that direct contact with Super Soul. So if Krishna wants, then he will have that knowledge. That makes it seem that he's omniscient. But yes, Narayani Muni, he's described as omniscient, that he's in the heart of everyone. Brahma and different people are described in that way. But Srila Prabhupada, that's how he explained it. It's not like he knows everything, but he knows whatever Krishna wants him to know. So if it's important he knows something, then Krishna will definitely let him know it. Not like how many windows are there on the skyscraper of in New York City, how many windows and how many doors and something like that. Prabhupada did say that if you're intelligent, then you will know how many rafters there are on the ceiling, or how many cars there are if you went on a train, you'll know how many cars are on the train. That's a sign of intelligence. Anyway, doesn't mean you should start counting now, but how many lights on the ceiling. But yes, he said an intelligent person, mind is always working. Mind is always working and you can't stop it. Better we use it for Krishna. So verse 23, Sukadeva is going to be more specific about his request. Uttar mahadbirya ima pura vipur. Uttar mahadbirya ima pura vipur. Yamaya shiteya amusha purusha. Yamaya shiteya amusha purusha. Bhakti gunan shodasha maka. Bhakti gunan shodasha maka. Salat Kashista Bhagavan Vachansime. Salat Kashista Bhagavan Vachansime. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements. So here's his request. What does he want to, Lord, to be pleased with? What does he want? The blessings for his speaking. Srimad Bhagavatam. He has to speak. Now it's the beginning of second canto, and he has to go all the way up to 12th canto. So he's asking for the blessings that he can speak. Now again, in the purport, Prabhupada makes 5 points. How to be a pure devotee, how to be a dependent devotee, how to be an instrument for the Lord's pleasure. And the first thing is, we follow the footsteps of Sukadeva. He invokes the pleasure of the Lord. So he prays for the blessings. So his statements may be successful and appreciated. So the first thing we should do is pray for, let this please you. Please, let me please you. Be pleased with me. So then the second thing, he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. He says, this was Srila Prabhupada, whenever someone would glorify Prabhupada, he said, this is the mercy of my spiritual master. If you take credit for something then that means you will also get the reaction for it. But if you pass it on, that's what we learn. Disciplic succession means they pass you the mercy and you pass on the credit, the praise, the whatever you get. And yeah, I guess you can also pass on the reactions you get from your disciples too. I don't know. I have asked different gurus how it works. But anyway, yeah, so whatever you get, you give to your guru. And if it is blessings, if it is praise, if it is whatever, you don't take credit. Prabhupada took credit only for one thing. Who knows what that one thing is? Yes?
That I could deliver the teachings of my spiritual master without changing.
Without changing, no change. That was what he took credit for. And everything else he would say, it's the mercy of my spiritual master. He would say it's you people, you disciples, you have done everything, or he would say either he would give the credit to his guru or to his disciples. They say one time he gave it to both. He said, yes, my guru has sent you here to help me spread Krishna consciousness. So number one, you try to invoke the pleasure, you try to get the blessings. Number two, you don't take credit for anything. Number three, you want to move by the direction of the Lord. You always look for his orders, his direction. It comes through the spiritual master, usually. And number four is very important. He has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. So this we see in India, so many Bhagavad Gitas are there. Hundreds of interpretations, translations. Why? Why do these people want to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada gave a very interesting reason why. Because if they would write a book and put their name on it, nobody will buy it. But if they say Bhagavad Gita and put their name, then everyone will buy it because it's Bhagavad Gita. So that's the way to sell their book. They put their own philosophy, but then just use Bhagavad Gita to spread their own philosophy. So this is number four. He has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. And at the end, last point, Prabhupada says, Sukadeva is praying for the mercy of the Lord, not only for being helped personally in presenting the truth, but also for helping others to whom he would like to speak. So he's not just thinking of himself, he's thinking, I want to help others. That's why I want him to be pleased with me, so I can speak and others will get helped by this message. And as I said before, Prabhupada, his prayer on here, I have the exact prayer. How will they understand devotional service? I'm simply praying for your mercy so I will be able to convince them about their message. Then the next prayer. All living entities have come under the control of illusory energy by your will. So if you like, by your will, they can be released. It's up to you, he's saying. You can release them. Not difficult. Then the last one. I wish you may deliver them. So then Prabhupada puts out his desire. And that's why it has to happen. Yes?
So are you saying your understanding of the expression decorate my statements
Yes.
means that they are perceived, they're understood by the hearer? Or what is your understanding of that?
Yeah, that can be one way of understanding it, yes. He's praying to Krishna to decorate his statements. So that means that if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, you understand how the creation happens. So, there's so many different steps. Like, okay, for example, first the Lord glanced at the Lord. So that's the Lord glanced at the creation, Maya Devi. That was the first thing. Then after every step, the Lord glances. After every step, he looks. That is the touch, the spiritual touch of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada talks about that in the third canto. First was there ether, there was sound, and then sound came, and then the Lord touched it, he glanced. Then after sound, after ether comes air. And then the Lord glanced, he touched it. So there must be the spiritual touch. So Sukadeva, in one sense, he's praying that it will become pure so that they will understand. In another sense, he's praying that please give me the spiritual touch, the final touch. The final touch is when the Lord touches it, glances at it, gives his blessings. So he's praying for that final touch.
So the decorations you're understanding to be the glance of the Lord.
Yeah, glance of the Lord, the touch, the touch of the Lord.
Because, generally when you think of ornaments or decorations, literary work, it's like a different...
Yeah, you think differently, yeah. I'm thinking more about, in the spiritual sense, there's a relationship here with Sukadeva and the Lord. So what is the relationship of the Lord and Sukadeva? And what is he asking for? He's asking for the Lord to do something, to decorate. Decorate means give his presence. The Lord is the decoration. The spiritual touch is the decoration of his words. And that will penetrate the heart, as Prabhupada was praying in his prayers. If you desire, they will be able to understand. But I want you to do it. I wish. So he's very earnestly praying for our deliverance, that we can understand. And, I remember when I first came to Krishna Conscious, the first book I got wasn't a book, it was a pamphlet. Who is crazy? And because everyone thought the devotees were crazy. And in his essay, Prabhupada wrote, everyone but the devotees are crazy. So, but I couldn't understand. I got Bhagavad Gita, and I understood a lot of it because I was already studying this Eastern philosophy. I said, oh, this agrees with me, my philosophy. But it took a while before you could really, really understand what was going on here, what's behind it. So, the spiritual touch, that's the decoration. That's what I understand the decoration to be. Is that Krishna must be there to give the final touch.
Well, your realization is confirmed because the previous verse where he's saying that in essence where it appeared to be that knowledge was emanating from Brahma's mouth, it was really because it had the spiritual force of the Lord in the heart.
Lord in
the
the heart,
seemed to confirm that.
Right.
Well, that's nice. I wouldn't have come to that too quickly myself.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So, yes, if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, you learn a lot. From the beginning. Start with 10th canto, you go from the first canto, you go all the way through, and it's really true what Prabhupada says in the preface. If you study scrutinizingly from canto 1 to canto 9, by the time you come to canto 10, then you'll understand, you'll have God realization. And then when you come to 10, then it's you simply relish being in the spiritual world. That's how it is. It's really nice, Srimad Bhagavatam. And this last verse is about that, actually. How it's going to happen. What is the process? How do we get to the point of going from Canto 1 to Canto 10? This is all explained in the purport of verse 24. And it's quite amazing purport. So we'll read the verse. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Papagyanam Ayam Samya Yanmukham Guruhasavam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees, drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. So I did bring the purport here, and I'm going to share it with you because it's quite amazing. And there's a commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So here the verse is talking about the nectar from the lotus mouth of the Lord is being drunk up by the pure devotees. Nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, quoted by Prabhupada. So the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts. So now we're in Goloka Vrindavan with Krishna and the gopis. Thus they learned the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decoration, and all such things relished by the Lord. So one time I was, on Radhashtami, I was giving a lecture in the Vrindavan Gurukul. One of the boys asked, did Radharani go to Gurukul? I said, no, she had a different process of learning everything, and here's the process, from the lips of Krishna. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressing the very beginning as para, or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should, now here's for us, here's our instructions. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures, or in other words, the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor, from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Sukadeva. By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Lila. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So this knowledge we're getting is quite interesting. We're going to learn how to, by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll learn music, dance, dressing, decorations that they do in Goloka Vrindavan, just by hearing this knowledge. Inconceivable. Mm-hmm.
But actually, the point you made is extremely esoteric.
I know.
You know,
I didn't make it proper.
It's interesting that in the Antya Lila, where it gets into some of the most Rasika dialogue in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, talking about the transfer of this nectar.
Mm-hmm. I've got it.
And out of the blue, Krishnadas Kaviraj talks about Kalidas.
Right, taking prasadam.
And then Krishnadas Kaviraj explains that actually that's why prasadam is so powerful, because you're taking the nectar of the lips of Krishna.
Yeah.
And then so they makes the, we take prasadam distribution as kind of like, it's like welfare work. Krishnadas Kaviraj is explaining it's actually extremely elevated, what's really going on.
Yeah.
So you're doing it again, you're kind of also explaining this reception of knowledge as also having that esoteric aspect. It's very interesting.
Oh, as Prabhupada said it. And right in the beginning of Bhagavatam, if you listen to his lectures in the early days, 66, 67, many times he said, we want to go back to Godhead to join the rasa dance of Lord Krishna. So, he was, that later on he didn't mention it so much. But in the beginning, because, we were all hippies and, he told us about Krishna and, Krishna is God. He's got long hair, he's got so many girlfriends, he plays the flute, he's just dancing and enjoying. Yeah, he's the best God we heard of so far. So, he was trying to attract us to Krishna consciousness in so many ways. But he didn't compromise. He had the 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds. Okay, any questions or comments on this? Yes?
Can I ask something from verse 22?
Verse 22. Okay.
There was something about, I don't remember exactly, but something about Krishna appearing to take birth from the mouth of Lord Brahma.
Oh yeah. Who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma. May the Lord, who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma. That's interesting. I know Varaha came from the nose, but who came from the mouth? Yes?
I'm just speculating whether that could refer to the Lord in the form of the Vedas.
Yeah, I would say it's the Lord in the form of the Vedas. Because at the beginning of creation, the Vedas came out from his mouth. five head. It said there's a fifth Veda also, which is the Puranas, Mahabharata, and Ramayana. Yeah, when I read this verse, I had two observations myself just now, that it's the Vedas that came out from his mouth, who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma.
The word appeared would seem to confirm that. It doesn't say who appeared, who was generated from the mouth of Brahma. It says who appeared to be generated, which would give it a metaphorical.
Yeah, well, what I understand appeared to be generated, what that means is it seems to be generated.
That's what I mean. It looked like. It wasn't actual an entity manifesting from the mouth.
No, the way I take it is that it looks like the Vedas came from his mouth. But actually, it was the Lord who gave him the Vedas. It's not that Brahma created the Vedas. Yes?
Is the whole verse 22 speaking about the Vedas?
Pardon me?
What's the subject for the verse 22? Can that be the
Well, yes. May the Lord, who in the beginning of creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from in his heart. So he gave the knowledge in the heart and inspired him with knowledge of creation and himself, and appeared to be generated from the mouth. So what my understanding is, first he came in the heart, gave him the knowledge came out of the mouth of Brahma in creation. That was, if you study third canto of the creation, then you'll see that the knowledge, the Vedas came from his mouth. And it's very interesting if you study the Varaha incarnation, it's described he is the Varaha, the boar incarnation, is the personified Vedas. And they offer prayers, the upper living entities from the upper planetary systems are offering prayers. This part of your body is a sacrificial ladle, and the hairs are the grass, and so many things. But the explanation is given by Srila Prabhupada that, again, the Vedas were inspired in the heart of Brahma, and this time they came out from his nose, as Varaha. It's also, and that was actually an incarnation. It was a Lord. And he's the personified Vedas. I can't think of an incarnation of the Lord who came from his mouth, but the Vedas did come from his mouth, and they're considered non-different. It's the Lord. Yes, actually, there's two. Yes, now I'm remembering a verse from Canto 6, Prayers of Chitraketu. Prayers of Chitraketu. In one verse, he's glorifying the Lord, and he said the Lord comes into this world in two forms. Shabda Brahma and Param Brahma. So one of the Lord's incarnations is Shabda Brahma, which is the sound incarnation. The Bhagavatam, the Vedas, the holy name. And the other incarnation, Param Brahma. Now what is that incarnation? He comes as sound. Param Brahma is the deity. Prabhupada said Param Brahma means he comes in his own form as the deity. He is the deity. So two incarnations come to help deliver the fallen souls, Param Brahma and Shabda Brahma. So yes, in that sense we can understand that he appeared from the mouth of Brahma as Shabda Brahma, incarnation of sound, incarnation in sound. Prabhupada in the beginning of Bhagavatam, he says that you can realize Krishna on every page of Srimad Bhagavatam if you hear attentively and submissively. That's the secret. Hear attentively and submissively, you will see Krishna on every page of Srimad Bhagavatam. So yes, Shabda Brahma and Param Brahma. And that is, so yes, he appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma. Appeared to be generated means that he appeared to be created from Brahma. The Vedas appear to be, but actually they're not. They're self-manifest. And it was the Lord coming out. He came in the heart and he came out from the mouth. In that sense. Very interesting. Okay, any other questions or comments? Yes?
What does the lotus feet of Krishna look like? How can I meditate?
What do they look like? We have a lot of pictures. Actually, there is a whole book about it. His lotus feet, they have different signs on the bottom. And I don't know if this temple has that book or not. But
we should have in our library.
Oh,
We
come.
have the bookstore here, so there should be. I remember there's the.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah, you can study. There's, I believe, 19 marks on each foot, and you can study what the marks, the significance of each of the marks of his feet are on the bottom. Like we have our marks, but they're, just random lines. But he has a disc, a lotus flower, and he has a triangle, and he has conch shell, and a flag, and he has a thunderbolt. So many things. He has an octagon. That's just on the bottom. And that's reddish, and on the top, his toes are like moons, whitish, and then the top is bluish. And then, what else is there on his lotus feet? Ankle bells, tulsi. Yes, if you have a deity of Krishna, Radha Krishna, you can see more clearly the top part anyway, not the bottom. If you want to know what's on the bottom, then you see the books. Did you want to know what was on the bottom too?
Yeah.
Okay, everything. Yes, they look like our feet, but they're blue. They don't look like our feet. I mean, they have 5. What I meant was there are 5 toes on each foot. That way we're the same, but everything else is different. And they're always dancing. They're always dancing. So, yes, there is information is there, complete information of what he looks like. That is the wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness. You can find out. And if you read Bhagavatam, you'll get a very literal description of every part of his body. Because the yogis, they meditate. This is their meditation on the different parts of Krishna's body. And that gives them liberation and mystic powers. But we meditate in devotion on Krishna's body. Any other question?
Regarding the lotus feet, is there also like we should think of not only how they look, but is there what are the more symbolical meanings and
Pardon me?
what are the more symbolical meanings?
More which? I didn't get that word.
Symbolical.
Symbolic.
Like not only how they look, but it's about regarding our attitude and everything.
Yeah, right. That's not symbolic, that's real. The real meanings is our, one significance of lotus feet is that it's the lowest part of the person. So if you're approaching lotus feet, it means you are being very humble. And the Lord is pleased. There is a verse in Bhagavatam which says that he's looking down because he's looking at all the devotees at his feet. When he looks, he's giving very compassionate glances as those devotees. It's described the devotees, they are like bees. So there's a lotus flower, and the bees go to the flower. So his feet are like a lotus, and even the color underneath, pink. And the devotees are like bees, and they want to go to the honey of his feet. So there's something very sweet there. Must be. Otherwise, why would devotees want to go there? The pure devotees. There's something sweet there to taste at his feet. Even Lakshmi wants to go there. Her service is to massage his lotus feet. And she'll do that day and night and for eternity. She's satisfied. There must be something there. And we should look for that. It's not something at his feet. Yes, the attitude is of humility. Because the feet are the lowest. We don't jump to the smiling face, but yes, we start with the feet when we meditate on the Lord. When we're asking prayers and we pray to the feet, and this is an expression of humility. And then we can go gradually up to the smiling face also. But if you're a pujari, you can go straight into the face because you're already there with the face, and it may be not very natural for you. Even everybody can go to the face, but don't forget the feet. Yes, there is an important attitude there. Yeah, about attitude. Anything else you'd like to mention or question? Okay, All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.